You guys can hear
Yes.
me okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
555.
Yes. 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 All right. Okay, so let's get started. So today, let me share my screen right away as well. So today is a very exciting session. We have a share your business story. It's all the marketing is allowed between us girls. Today we have our female founders here of Ontario, and we have 3 successful stories from our female founders, and we're going to present them in just a minute. So let me share my screen. And if you can see my share, let me know. Yes, and if you, I would like you to check if you are not on mute, just to mute yourself, so we would not have any distractions right now. But yes, so as I was saying, today is build successful business without funding. We have 3 female founders from Ontario, and this is program for Ontario that we're running right now. They're all free, 3 from Ontario. They will be sharing their stories on how they build business, how they build their businesses without funding, and their experience. And we also invite everyone to share your story at the end as well. So these are our 3 speakers today: Amber Scott, Emma Todd, and Lucia Gallardo. So we will be presenting them just a bit later. And then, as I said, you're welcome to chime in and share your story as well and your business, what you're doing. Uh, as a reminder, we are running this series of webinars for women in Ontario with support of Delia, Northumberland CFDC as well. And then Northumberland is our partners. They are right now having a big, huge day conference for women entrepreneurs. And I I would like you to join. This is going to be like a great, great conference, and many women coming together. It's like today, just bigger. So March 4th at 9 a.m. Please register at strikeup.ca, and the conference name is a Strike Up. We also have other events, smaller, not like the Strike Up conference, but coming up. And our next one is going to be graphic design made easy for entrepreneurs. We're going to be sharing on how we all do the graphic designs ourselves without professionals. And also we will be inviting professionals to this meeting to give you some insights as well. And our March 6th event is Build Your Blockchain Business. So as you probably all know, we have this CryptoChicks Hatchery Incubator, and we constantly receiving the funding, and we have very, very great mentors who helping our businesses build their startups. So you can sign up by going at cryptochicks.ca/upcoming-events and sign up for this event as well. So we're going to be doing an announcement. One of our startups raised 1 million in funding just recently. So we're going to be sharing that story, and all other things around CryptoChicks Hatchery. And as you said, the CryptoChicks Hatchery, so we have milestones, mentors, events, workshops, and funding for the startups that come into us. And we also have a CryptoChicks Academy. You can check it out on the website, cryptochicksacademy.com. So there are lots of courses available right now. So please check it out and sign up. And as I said, today is we looking for your feedback. We were running these webinars for women entrepreneurs in Ontario since October 2020, and we would like to know how we did and how we can improve for the future. Today we're going to be doing a $100 draw, but it's not too late to sign up for your feedback. Just scan from your phones, scan this QR code, give us the feedback, and you will get on a list, and you might win $100 today. Who knows? So please scan this QR code, or you can go to cryptochickshatchery.com/feedback. And so we are right now at our featured presentation, and we have 3 speakers: Amber, Emma, and Lucia. They all our longtime friends now. We know each other. We met each other through business. We all from Ontario. maybe originally from other places, but yes, we are women in Ontario. We're doing all business together, and we have stories to share, just like you all. So I will start with Amber. Amber is our also strategic hatchery mentor for the second year, and she's been our supporter like forever. She is the founder of the Outlier Solutions. She's really the businesswoman that I'm really looking up to. So she's going to start today. Amber, do you want me to share the slides with the questions that you gave me?
Sure, that
Yeah,
would be
okay.
great.
All right, so let's go back to other screen share. And okay. All right. So they prepared all their slideshow, right? So it's very exciting.
We did.
So let me let me
Perfect.
share.
And I
Like,
think the place that we'll skip to is just the slide that has my picture and just the outlier info on it. Because we're all going to kick off by just explaining a little bit about what it is that we each respectively do. And in my case, I do compliance consulting. And in a nutshell, that's trying to keep my clients out of trouble from a regulatory perspective. My company is called Outlier, which is based on Malcolm Gladwell's book, which espouses the idea that to be really good at something, you have to practice it an awful lot, roughly to the tune of 10,000 hours. And so everyone that's a part of my team has 10,000 hours of in-house compliance experience, and we're very strict on that rule. I would say that that's probably one of the things that we do really differently, and that was very important to me when I founded the company, was to have really deep experience in all of my team members. And so I'm going to stop there and pass it along to Emma.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Emma Todd. I'm CEO of MMH Blockchain Group. I've been in the space full-time since 2016, thanks to Amber. When I went to Amber's birthday party and said, Amber, I'm looking for a change. And she said, what about blockchain? And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's like, what about Bitcoin? And then she said, maybe you should come to an event and volunteer. Remember that one, Amber? Remember the look I gave you? Like, I don't volunteer.
You were not happy at that suggestion.
I was not. And then I had just finished watching a podcast, everybody, that morning, and it was the year of saying yes. And I thought, you know something? Let's give it a shot. If it works for Shonda Rhimes, who produces Grey's Anatomy and all those great shows, like maybe I can do it too. And it was amazing. From there, it went from, we don't necessarily want you just to volunteer. We need your help with the marketing. We need to do this. I met all the people who were speaking, and I didn't realize that they were the best of the best. And I sat there and they indoctrinated me, and I fell in love with it. And I asked all these questions, and they were just so kind. And then from there, people said, if you helped with this event, maybe you should come and help me with my event. And so my very first event was actually going to Vegas, which was really amazing, and helping people, with that event. And I came back to Toronto and just, dove headfirst in, and it's been great. So my company operates worldwide. We provide consultancy, we do crypto mining, communication, we provide events for blockchain companies. And it's been absolutely amazing. I'm absolutely blessed to know Amber and Lucia. I can't imagine a world without them. I love them dearly. And I miss Elena because she lives so close to me. And I just, I can't see anybody right now because of COVID. And, I'm just so happy to be a part of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Emma. And Lucia. So Lucia, I know, Lucia, are you right now in Honduras or you're in Ontario?
Neither. I'm actually in Miami at the
Oh,
moment.
you're in Miami. Okay, you're somewhere in the middle.
I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get up north, but maybe I'll wait until it's not cold anymore. Yeah. So my name is Lucia, and I have been a big fan of Crypto Chicks for a very long time now. I don't even remember the year we were introduced, but I think the work that you do is incredible, and I've been a long-standing supporter. And I am also a big fan of Emma and Amber, both of whom I've met through just events in Ontario and also outside of Ontario now. My name is Lucia, and I started emërge in 2018. So I came from a different background, a non-technology background. I was actually in the public sector for a big portion of my life. And I used to work on projects that related to undocumented immigration and trade and agricultural trade, things like that. And in 2016, sort of fell into the world of artificial intelligence. And a lot of my work at that time was a lot more technical. So I'm more like a self-taught person in that aspect. But at around the same time, I started learning more about other emerging technologies and fell into blockchain as one of those, and sort of fell in love with its promise to build, decentralized governance and decentralized inclusive movements. And so in working in that tech and coming from a humanitarian and public sector background, I think what really drew me to my work is the notion of promoting technological justice and using things like blockchain to deploy projects that really make a difference in communities and places that constantly get left out of technological innovation. And so since we started, we've worked on projects with rural farmers in Uganda, in Colombia, in Guatemala, in Honduras. We've done work with refugees and undocumented immigrants in Mexico, in Venezuela, in Africa as well. We've done a little bit of work in the natural disaster space, and now we're doing some projects in financial inclusion and central bank digital dollars, and also in the management of things like social housing. So some really weird projects come of it from a left field, but super happy to be here and very, very excited about the topic that we're going to cover today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we have our first question to all of us. How did you decide and why did you decide to bootstrap your business? And bootstrapping, we know that this is something that we're starting business without any funding, right? So like on our own, and this is the most difficult part and most scary part probably. That was at least was for me. So let's start with Amber.
Sure. And I think if someone had said to me at the time, hey, I will give you a certain amount of money and you can still do exactly what you want, I would have taken the money. But no one was going to come to me and tell me, yes, you can do a model that hasn't been done in the consulting industry. And also you should be, sharing profits with people that are working on the project as opposed to doing hourly things. Everything that I wanted to do was very different than the tried and tested and what had been done traditionally. And also I had worked at a very big traditional consulting firm. And as much as I experienced so much joy in my work every day now, the founding of my company was very much an exercise in rage and being very angry at things that I had seen, being very angry at the way that things were done that I didn't think were ethical, that I didn't think were effective, and that I didn't think were the right thing to do. And I set out to prove that I could do it better and do it differently. 7 years in, now I'm smiling, by the way, and it's now much more joy than rage most days.
Yeah, so what about you, Lucia? So Lucia, what about you? Like, why did you and how did you decide to bootstrap?
I find this conversation interesting because bootstrapping today is like seen as this like really cool, really accomplished thing, when in actuality, like a lot of people have been forced into being a bootstrapped entrepreneur if we think about the way that, you know, venture capital has allocated some of its funds and only 4% of it goes to female entrepreneurs, or if you think about a lot of the inequities in the way that startup spaces are formed, you can compare, for example, the startup space in Ontario, which in some parts of it is robust, and then in other parts of it, it's harder to get capital to entrepreneurs in certain areas, right? So I think it's interesting that bootstrap has become this like trend, and yet there are some of us, particularly women and minority women, that didn't decide one day to the next to become a bootstrap founder, but it's more like a circumstance of their situation. And so that's where I sort of fell in to this category where, you know, I did not grow up in Canada. I grew up in Honduras, and my family could not support me through starting a business. And at the time I was working in the nonprofit and in the space and in the public sector. So it wasn't like I had built a runway. I also, like Amber, would have taken money if somebody had said, hey, you can do exactly what you want to do, which sounds crazy and extremely, extremely ambitious. And you're looking at these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and saying you want to like solve them. Yeah, you're crazy. But I'll still give you the money. And I would have taken it probably at the time. Unfortunately, my first year, I did decide that I wanted to go through the fundraising process, and it was not a positive experience for me at all. Very often I ran into situations that were deeply uncomfortable for me. I think, off the top of my head, some of the examples that I constantly think about still are, I was at a dinner with an investor, and he, asked me to tell him a bit more about emërge. I told him a bit about emërge, and after a bit of time, he said something like, I don't know if I want to help you or hit on you. Or I would go to events and there would be these like very inappropriate comments. And the one that kind of like forced me into like diving into bootstrapping was I was at a coffee meeting with an investor who told me he would never invest in any professional venture that I had because he didn't want to create a potential conflict of interest in also being able to like his words were take care of me personally. And so I think after that moment, for me, it was really eye-opening in how it was going to be if I did want to find this money and if I did want to find the right investor. And so I kind of decided that if I could put all of this energy into finding an investor, it would be much more impactful if I could channel the same energy into finding my first client. And so I sort of transitioned into my journey to find a client. And obviously, looking back, I don't regret it. I think building a bootstrap business is incredible, but obviously it needs to be said that there are some people that don't have a choice in their situation. And I also think that it's something that we really need to talk more about. And so that's why I'm super excited that we're going to be opening up about that today.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Lucia. And Emma, how and why did you decide to bootstrap? Okay, Emma, you might be on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute.
Yeah.
For me, it depends on your personality. I kind of like things a certain way. I love collaborating with people, but at the end of the day, if it's my company, I kind of want to make the decision. And so for me, bootstrapping is just probably the best option, using your own money. And that way you don't necessarily have to listen to people in terms of what it is that you should or should not do. But yes, I absolutely agree that for many of my friends who are actually entrepreneurs, bootstrapping was the only real viable way for them to take to kind of get their idea to market. I know we'll talk about this a little bit later, but women have a really hard time getting funding. And, people get hit on as every time I hear that story that Lucia tells me, it boils my blood. I just cannot believe that you're going through this, Lucia, and it's just absolutely that you went through this is absolutely horrible. And we know that there are more women that have gone through that. And so, just bootstrapping just made so much sense to me. And it also teaches you, honestly, guys, the value of $1, because you've learned you learn how to really make it stretch and really make it work for you. And so, I really have to say that bootstrapping really was the best option for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Emma. And right now we have questions in the chat already. So some people come in later, and Terry asked, coming in late, what is the bootstrapping? Any of you ladies care to explain what is the bootstrapping means to you?
Sure.
Bootstrapping means that you use
you
use your own money. Yeah, you're using
Yeah,
your
with
own
your own money. Yeah, yeah.
you're using your own money. So you've got a couple options. You know, you've got using your own money to start your own company, and then you can go venture capital route or getting funding where you're actually going out and you're soliciting funds from you know, from VCs, and that involves telling them what your business is, showing them your plan, you know, your 12-month, 3-year, 5-year plan, and then getting funding from them. And that can range anywhere from 5,000 all the way up to a few $1 million. And bootstrapping, I probably should say, isn't necessarily for everybody, because if you've got a really good idea that really needs a lot of funding, you know, say you want to go to the moon and you want to build a rocket, definitely your own money isn't going to cover it, right? But at that point, you really will need to go out and get funding for that one. But bootstrapping really is the process of using your own money to fund your own company.
Thank you, Emma. That's awesome answer. And I would like to bring someone from our audience actually right now at this point as well. So ladies, please raise your hand if you would like to share your story on how did you and how and why you decided to bootstrap. So I'm going to bring one person from the audience if you wish to. Please raise your hand so you have this functionality in Zoom to raise your hand. Yeah, just let me know if you would like to speak on that. And we have now also the questions in the chat that I think you were asked, right? So is the best way to bootstrap finding paying clients or using personal finances? So Emma, I think already answered it a little bit, right? So in Amber.
Totally depends on like your current situation in terms of how much savings do you have. Also, what are your responsibilities in terms of, you know, if you are a single person that can afford to sort of take higher financial risks, or do you have responsibilities or dependents that you also need to factor in your structuring of how you're going to use the funding. So I think it's a mix of like trying to be as resourceful as possible in minimizing what that spend is, and then using some of your own money to the degree which you can. And then the third bit is channeling all of that time spent into finding a quick return, be it, you know, a recurring revenue model, be it finding one single client that will, you know, pay you to hire your first person, whatever it is, but like channeling all of these efforts into what will get you a return quickly. And then super important and most important is, okay, now that you have that return, how do you make the right decisions, and where do you make the right investment and spending decisions in order to continue this process so you will not require further investment immediately. So I think that's sort of where you want to take it on a prioritization level.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucia, for this answer. And I don't see any raised hands right now. But and we're going to, yeah.
Oh, this is Maggie from the audience.
Oh, yeah, Maggie.
Hi,
Yes.
I can't find the functionality, the raise hand functionality in Zoom, but I just want to comment on this. So I have bootstrapped for my last business as well. And the reason I did that is I actually went through the whole government grant and also trying to seek out other fundings. And it was just getting extremely exhausting. And with same as Lucia, I just thought if I had spent all that energy to actually building a product, that would have been a lot more helpful. And then the second point I want to make is have a plan, because the more people you talk to, they're going to have their own twist on what they think the idea is going to be, especially if they're going to be investing in a project. And that sometimes can kind of skew you away from your original idea. And this is your idea. So it's up to you to build it out. So I would say like really having the plan first. Doesn't have to be perfect, but have something down on paper. Maybe do a quick one-pager business plan, kind of like your opportunities, your challenges, different phases you might go through. And then like what Lucia and Emma was alluding to, figure out what are the best resources you can have to quickly go and execute that plan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
you. Maggie, is that you, my friend? I can recognize that voice anywhere.
Hi.
I miss you. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so you see, we want a big close network for ladies that would know each other. That's good, you know. Let's act together and help each other. I love that. So yes, and I have a question from Daniel right now, from Daniel one in chat. So she's asking basically of it is good if you something that you do the small business and bootstrap it, like for example consulting. But what if you planning something bigger like a marketplace, like how to bootstrap and where to get started? You know, any of you, Lucia, Amber, or Emma, do you have any answer for that?
So this one's exciting for me because I feel like a lot of what I do is product-oriented bootstrapping. I think the real answer to this is not necessarily that bootstrapping is not the answer. I think the question is, what is your first deliverable? Because there are so many tools out there that can help you build a functioning prototype, that can help you build a working proof of concept. And they can get you to the next phase in a way that, if you don't necessarily need to find that investment. And so, if I'm thinking about this also new trendy movement called the no-code movement, which is another fancy and trending way of explaining things that a lot of people have been doing for a while. I think, there's things like Glide apps or something like, Bubble, and there's Wix and there's Squarespace, and there's all of these ways to get something up and running that require either zero to minimal investment on your part. And if you can swing building a marketplace on Glide, or if you can swing releasing a proof of concept that sort of gets you the traction that you need in order to then get your first paying client, I think you can still bootstrap with bigger projects. It's really a matter of, looking at not just your financial runway, but your innovation runway, and saying, okay, what is the product that needs to go to market? What does that need to look like at minimum? And then, is there a way for me to be resourceful enough to lead that and to get there to that moment? And then after that, figure out if I do want to pursue investment or not. And so I think there are a lot of tools today that can make it a much more strategic decision on whether you decide to take on investment for a more complicated project or not. The way that I go about it personally is that we use these kinds of no-code tools to build out a initial pilot, and then from there migrate off once we sort of start seeing a return, or we get the paying client that we need in order to grow the budget for that project, and then sort of start building customization and migrating it off a no-code platform. But it's super helpful to be able to have these tools, and it makes your startup journey a lot shorter than it normally has taken in the past.
Thank you so much, Lucia. And in this program, we covered tons and tons of no-code tools.
Right.
So you ladies can go back to our recordings. They're still available. They will be available for some time before we take them down. And we would like to make them available for you for a longer time. So please go back to crypto6hatchery.com/Delia, and you can request the recording of any no-code tools that we were explaining. We're moving on for a next question. And I know there is lots of right now, so we have lots of questions in the chat. So we will try to answer them all. But we need to move on. So let me get to the next question. What are the pros of bootstrapping? So I think we already covered that just a bit, right? So maybe like Lucia, Amber, Emma, who would like to chime in on that question?
So for me, I'll talk about it for a bit. So for me, the pros of bootstrapping is that you're doing things your way. You don't necessarily need to take you can listen to advice that's given to you, but it really is advice as opposed to, yes, you should do this, and you really have to consider it because it's someone who you've taken money from. So I really do have to say that for me was the main bonus. And what I'll quickly touch on a question that Daisy had about how do you find mentors, thought leaders for bootstrapping your business. Daisy, look at what it is that you want to accomplish and sort of go on to LinkedIn and look at people who have companies that sort of encompass what it is that you're looking at doing, and then reach out to them, send them a message, and then, ask them if you can book 10, 15 minutes of their time just to ask them questions. And that normally works for me. or it did work for me in the past. So now more people are coming at me to ask opinions, but just want to let you know that. But bootstrapping, really, so going back to this, the pros of bootstrapping that, for me, I've learned the value of $1. I cannot begin to tell you how now I really know how to make money stretch and how to make it work. And at the time you don't appreciate it, but everybody, when the pandemic hit, I really appreciated it because I was already in saving my money mode. And so when the pandemic hit, because I was getting less clients, I was already in a hunker down mode and able to sort of do a lot better than other companies because I was used to really stretching my dollar.
Thank you, Emma. So Lucia, Amber, do you have anything to add on that question?
Amber, you want to go first?
Go ahead. You're on screen. I'll go next.
All right. Well, I think for me, the big piece of it is it really allows you to preserve the foundational ethos of your company. One of the reasons that it was really important for me to preserve that was because early on in my journey as an entrepreneur, we were working on a lot that related to digital identification. And we were working on it for specifically displaced persons. So we were talking about vulnerable populations, homeless populations, refugees, migrants, etc. And bringing in an investor that is looking at data points that are being collected on a population where historically we don't have a lot of data on them, it's something that I was scared to receive pressure to commodify that and commercialize that data. And so for me, it was really about preserving the protection that we wanted to create within the solution and making sure that we built all of the foundational infrastructure that was privacy preserving, that did allow for people to own their own data rights before bringing in or potentially bringing in investors that could essentially pressure us to go in a different direction. And on top of that, I think it really forces you to be nimble and to build your financial viability much faster than if you had invested. I've worked at startups that received external investment and dilutive investment, and the way that they spend money is so different. I think just echoing what Emma is saying, you really understand what it takes to prioritize your money, how to allocate it to different things, and it really makes you constantly question your strategy and agility as you sort of look to fill your gaps and understand what it is that you need in order to move forward. So, there's a question here Dior asked about finding your first clients. This might be something you do really need to spend money on. And then alternatively, you might have just happened upon your first client by listening to them describe a problem or define a problem that they're facing. You built a solution around that. And then what you really need to focus your spending on is actually technical or more oriented toward operational delivery of your solution. So I think it really gives you a very different and holistic strategic viewpoint in which you can grow a very healthy business at an earlier stage.
Awesome. So the responsibility and accountability for your own money. Yes, I completely agree. Amber, so do you have anything to add for the pros?
I would add just to build on that, but it's not just the responsibility and the accountability for your own money, but for your own ideas. There's something incredibly powerful about being able to build a company that has the culture that you've always wanted to exist, that has the product that you've always wanted to exist. And that's something that's been incredibly important to me, that I realized I was looking for a lot of things before I became a founder externally. I remember writing a list at one point of just things that I wanted in a company that I wanted to work for. I can tell you 7 years in to being an entrepreneur, I found that in 0 external companies that I've ever worked for. But I'm really happy when I look back at that list and I realize that I've built that in Outlier, that I've built something that I desperately wanted to exist. The other thing that I think is an incredibly powerful pro is that your focus isn't divided. And so I was never focused on fundraising. I was never focused on schmoozing. I was always focused on building something that I would be proud of and that I thought was awesome.
Thank you, Amber. Yeah, so it's just putting your heart and soul into that. So it's not only money, that it's actually something that is deeply, deeply yours. And we have a raised hand from Terry. So Terry, would you like to add to that question? You can unmute yourself if you would like to. we don't hear from Terry yet. So Terry, let us know if you would like to add something. And ladies, please chime in if you would like to add to that question. Raise your hand, or you can type in the chat and we can unmute you. Yeah, so right now,
just for Daisy's question on mentors,
yes.
I think you're in the right room, right? Like Crypto Chicks is definitely a place where there are tons of people that are willing to give part of their time to mentor early stage entrepreneurs. So, you know, communities like this, I think, are also a great way to source mentors or people that can inspire you. I also think it's really important to have many, not like too deep relationships with just one. I think it's really helpful to be able to resort to different types of expertise levels depending on what it is that you need. So sort of having a group of people that you sporadically keep in touch with, but you know, don't sort of require a deep relationship, I think can also be very practical and can help you in specific challenges you're going to run in through your journey.
Thank you, Lucia. Yes, and thank you so much for supporting our community, because Crypto Chicks Hatchery, that's what exactly we do. We provide a mentorship. We have, I think right now we have 40 excellent mentors, and we bring in more. We have mentors from all over the world, actually. Our event on March 6th will have mentors from Europe as well. And our participants have sessions, the individual sessions with those mentors and with all our current mentors as well. So please look us up, cryptochickshatchery.com, and if you'd like to join, yes, we will be able to help you with the mentorship. We are moving on, and I think I skipped one question Amber told me on the so that's I need to learn how to turn on the slides, like to change the slides. Here you go. So what are the cons of the bootstrapping? Surprise, surprise.
We only have an hour though? No.
Right? We only have an hour.
I know. Yeah, just pick one. Pick the most important one.
I will just say that for me, really just you never have enough money to really do what you want. You know, there's always a bigger, brighter vision of what you want to do, but it does enable you to do the nuts and bolts to get it done. And that's actually one of the things I learned. You don't need to have, and actually became a positive. You don't actually need to have the big flashy version. If you can get it done and get it done affordably, effectively, and a minimum amount of time, that is just as good. So the con actually turned out to be a pro, but honestly, I don't think anybody ever has enough money, but that definitely is a con.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. And Lucia?
I think for me, it's the obviously limited liquidity limits your choices. And for me, the impact largely there is team building. It can be really difficult to build the type of team that you need. I think there were so many months where it was like, I felt like I was everything, from like the marketing manager to the executive assistant, to the founder, to the CEO, to the chief product officer, to the chief engineering officer, to the, you know, data privacy and security officer, compliance. I was all of it. And that can be really, really draining. And it forces you to really learn prioritization. But if you can't learn proper strategic prioritization, it could be a massive con that can cost you the company, right? So I think like that's probably, you know, it's really hard to build a team, and it forces you to be in a situation where you have to understand how to prioritize effectively.
Very good one. Thank you. And Amber?
I agree with Lucia on that completely. And I think one of the best things early on that my accounting firm said to me when there was something that I needed, and they're like, how much of these things are you doing yourself? And then they came out with, here's what you could pay us to do it. And I sort of, you know, did a grumble. And they were like, but you don't enjoy any of these things. They're not actually helping you advance your business. And if you could take that time and be building content and talking to clients and doing the things that you actually enjoy doing that advance your business, doesn't that make more sense to do it? Which was fantastic to know, and really helped me part with some of that cash, because I think one of the things that stuck with me as a bootstrap founder really was those early cash crunches. It was those moments where I was in agony, not knowing if it was going to work or not. And I came at it from a relatively privileged position where I had a background in finance. I had a partner who was very supportive. I had enough savings to have a little bit of runway. And so I had room, and I still managed to make decisions that I look back on and sort of shake my head. So we definitely had some early clients that behaved in ways that I would now not tolerate. I have definitely made mistakes. I think part of minimum viable product in general is that a year later, when you look back at the first thing you built, it's kind of clunky and embarrassing, and you have to, evolve and make something better. It's probably even more so when you're building an MVP in a mode that's bootstrapped, in that you're looking to get something out the door so that you can get dollars back in. And some of those early things are cringy to look back on. But I'm also a pretty firm believer that if I look at a product that I did 5 years ago and I still think it's perfect, I am missing something major.
Mm-hmm.
Can we tap into what you're saying about the psychology of stability? Because I think that that's probably one of those things that bootstrapped entrepreneurs all struggle with, and yet it's not something that we hear very often about. But I think that, and it's also because perhaps highlighted in my journey because I live also nomadically, and so I'm constantly changing places, but the lack of stability around finances and around being able to have enough, and you don't know if, maybe I do want to buy this service or hire this accountant, but then will I have enough money to keep the service next month? Or am I just, it's a headache because I can afford it now, but might be able to later. And then, I won't understand what that person did. And same for if you're working with a developer, and then what if I can't pay him next month? And then I don't understand what she did. And so I think the psychology of a bootstrapped entrepreneur is one of those cons because it is very, very taxing. And I think, I have very clear memories of, a couple of years ago where I was at a conference speaking on a huge stage, probably one of the bigger stages I've ever spoken at, which would be considered a high. But at the same time, the night before, I'd been sitting on the hotel room floor crying because I couldn't figure out how I was going to make sure that I could continue to operate the next month, right? So there's these very extremely volatile emotions, and there's a lot of stress and pressure. And if you are a bootstrapped entrepreneur, and if you are either a solopreneur or, maybe you have one other co-founder, it is very taxing. And it requires a lot of inner resilience. And I think that it's okay to say that in a space like this. I think it's necessary to say that in a space like this. It is not an easy journey. But that said, it's done. And it's not one of those things where it's but it makes you stronger. It's one of those cases where it sucks, but we all have to go through it if you want to make this choice of, having control of your company and not going down this very dangerous and tricky path that is dilutive investment. And so, but I'm really fascinated by you saying, you did come to it from a privileged perspective in saying you knew about financing. I did not. Right? In the sense of accounting and things like that, I did not know about them. And so that was a big learning curve for me. And it was the source of so much stress, so much instability. And I think it's one of those things where the more you can educate yourself with tools, the more you can automate a lot of the functions. You can use tools to automate a lot of the early functions on operational to-dos that you have. The earlier, the better, because they will save you a lot of stress and instability.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucia.
The one thing I would add to that is that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, one of the most necessary things you can do is get yourself a community of like-minded entrepreneurs around you, because your regular friends are going to think you're crazy after a while, because you can be sad and happy and crazy all in the same hour. So I'm not kidding. So and if your friends aren't entrepreneurs and aren't going through that, they're not going to understand how you can be happy and sad and absolutely angry in the space of 3 hours. They're going to think that you need psychological counseling. But if you're an entrepreneur,
everyone does, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if it's a pro or a con, but it's true. You will, as a function of becoming an entrepreneur, make cuts in the circle in your life as a survival tactic.
Yeah,
it's true.
And if you do it right, it'll make your life better.
Yeah,
sure. So for example, I thank God that I have Amber. I thank God I have Amber, because I really just don't know how I wouldn't have gotten to where I am so quickly if I hadn't have had Amber, and if I hadn't have met Lucia, and if they weren't in my circle of friends, and Maggie that we saw earlier. Because when you have challenges, like we don't have them as much, but we have like our WhatsApp groups, and we have like our Zoom nights, and you sit and you talk to people, and then they sort of give you advice, and then you're like, okay, this is something I should watch for. This is something that is normal. And you're getting perspectives of people who've done this before, who've gone through this, and they're sort of helping you over, like through that journey a lot faster than if you had to figure it out yourself. So one of the most important things I think you can do is build a community of people around you that are entrepreneurs. And also adding to what Amber said, and this sounds a little bit harsh, but it really is probably the best thing if you want to be successful. You really want to cut out people who are negative, or let's just say reduce your interaction with them. Reduce your interaction with people who are negative, who are not going to necessarily help you to where you want to be, because they are a distraction and they hold you back. And I have found that when you have people who are going the extra mile and who are very, very good at what they do, then suddenly you're like, oh, I want to be like them, right? And so suddenly you are, hitting all these milestones, and people are like, wow. And your regular friends aren't necessarily going to understand it, because for them, they have a regular 9-to-5 job. But if you have people around you who are living the life that you want to emulate, then suddenly for you, trying to get to that level, it becomes ordinary and not extraordinary. So that's one of the reasons I love having Lucia and Amber as friends, because like, honestly, like I'm always trying to get to that next level, and they help get me there.
Thank you, Emma.
Adam Grant published this book called Give and Take, and it's about certain people are givers and certain people are takers. By nature, entrepreneurs give of themselves so much. They give and give and give, and they channel it into their business. They channel it into the way they interact with people that could become potential partners, that could become potential clients, etc. It's a very giving role. And so you want to surround yourself in your personal life and in your professional network with people that can sort of help you refuel a lot of that. And so if you can avoid takers, the people that will continue to take even after you're done giving. If you can spend your time with people that can help you refuel a bit of that energy lost, I think that's a very powerful thing. And I'm also very grateful for my circle of friends that also includes Emma and Amber.
Thank you. And we have a question from Terry, because Terry early, she raised a hand and we didn't answer her question. So I'm starting from the beginning. I am in the process of getting a provisional patent and then would like to get a prototype. What would you ladies say as to where should start first?
Is there a reason why you're doing them like one after the other? Because I feel like would the patent not be stronger if you were conjointly building and sort of setting up what that's going to look like in tandem? Because then you would have both the filed patent and the ability to release and launch into the marketplace sooner if you're doing them in tandem. But I think if you already have an instructional manual through the patent of what you want to build as a prototype, I think the question you really have to look at is, what does this prototype require and how much of it can be done resourcefully? Like, can I actually do this myself? Can I find, a co-founder in a small program? Are there tools out there that can help me build this proof of concept or this prototype so that I can at the very least get to the next step, the immediate next step, which would be to find either a paying customer or a form to monetize. So if it's something that's geared toward the consumer, then how quickly can I put it out into the market where even if they just pay me 99 cents, but this 99 cents is coming in from a couple of people consistently, then I'm slowly starting to recycle that money into building more features and adding complexity. So I think the question is really to frame your mind around what does this prototype actually require to be launched into the market, and how quickly and resourcefully can I build that so that I can start generating a return.
Thank you, Lucia. And we have a question from Josie. Josie, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question here.
My name is Jose. I live in Ottawa, and I'm considering starting my own business. I don't know very much about how to work the internet and how to connect. I barely even knew what LinkedIn was or Facebook or Instagram. And when I reached out to some of my friends to give me advice, I said, I said, what's LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram? People were looking at me going, you don't know what that is? I'm like, no, I don't know what it is. And the thing is, I know I have a huge market. It's too huge. I don't think I can even keep up because the other day I spent all morning trying to figure out how to put all my titles. I have a lot of titles. And that took me all morning how to figure that out. And then the other night I sat in another workshop, and then of course I got criticized saying, why are you starting your own business? So I totally understand what Amber, there are nights where I cry and I'm like, I know I'm on the right track. I just don't know how to connect. Like, how do you do Facebook? How do I do my Instagram? How do I do my LinkedIn? Is there anything else? So to prove for me, dumb me, because I don't know the internet very well, I just put up my title yesterday or the other day, just like 2 or 3 days ago. And then I went to check to see what my traffic is, just what the selling point is, whatever it's called, with no information, nothing, just my title. I had a 32 people keep looking at my website, and I had a 33% sale market in, like, was it 2 days? Yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm definitely on the right track. But I just don't know how to put my information online. And, spending all morning trying to figure out how to stick a title on LinkedIn. Um, did everybody go through that, or am I just the slow one?
Oh my gosh, Jose, give yourself permission not to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I guarantee you that everyone who is here at some point has Googled how do you do a thing. Every one of us has probably at some point sent something that, we thought was a private message that we posted somewhere public and then immediately regretted it. Give yourself permission not to be perfect, and do the research. And I think definitely find savvy friends that are willing to kind of sit with you and walk through what you want to do. Find.
That's the problem.
Josie, I think also the framing is interesting because, like, as you're telling me that you need to search, what this is, what this tool is, or what this platform is, like, I'm actually viewing you as a person that is incredibly, like, autodidactical. Like, you don't know something, you're researching it, and you're answering your own question. That to me is something to be, like, fiercely proud of, because it means that, like, you are the type of resourceful that will make things happen, because you will learn whatever it is that you need to learn in order to make it happen. So I think sometimes the narratives we build around ourselves can be harsh. I'm constantly punishing myself for certain things. And I think that, like, the ways that we can self-care, tying it to a question that's in our chat, is that we do need to be kinder to ourselves. I think you're an incredibly resourceful person if you're researching things that you don't know. And I think that is something, like, admitting that you don't know everything is the first step in, like, intellectual humility that makes better leaders and better entrepreneurs. So I would actually view what you're saying as, like, a skill set in saying, I'm an autodidact. Whatever I don't know, I will find out, and I will learn it in a short amount of time. And that makes me an excellent entrepreneur or potential entrepreneur.
I don't know about the short time. I think it might take me a while because I still have to learn Facebook and Instagram.
Short is subjective, short is a 4-year time period. Short is a 3-month time period. Short is, it's a very subjective time period. The average startup, if it succeeds, it starts making a proper return in 5 years. And some people say that's short. Well, that's short to some people. So I think it really is, like, about asking ourselves these questions of, like, is this narrative that I'm telling myself punishing to me, or is it kind to myself? And how do I turn it into something that's kind to myself? And, time is really, like, such a fluid and personal thing that it, you know, if it takes you a year to learn something that, you know, other people might find basic, fine. But you know what? You did learn it, and now you can build a business around it.
Thank you, Lucia.
Yeah, be kind to yourself, Jose.
Thank you.
Be kind to yourself.
I was just wondering if everybody went through it, because
Of course. Yeah.
Yes,
Totally.
definitely. Yes.
All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the only one, believe me. Yeah. I'm still struggling with my social media. Like, what do I even post there?
Yeah.
I just
Your
started my
social
Twitter
media
account.
is amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I love your Facebook.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I started my
I
Twitter just like I don't know, last month.
Really?
So, yeah, I didn't have my Twitter before at all. So
Oh, are you
yes.
surviving without crypto?
I know, right? So yeah, I know, right? There you go. So no. I'm also I'm a technologist myself, but in some cases I'm afraid of the technology that coming out, and it's very natural to people. So yes, I agree with Lucia B and with Amber. Be very forgiving for yourself. So that's fine. Just step by step.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do right now and today, do it. Yeah, don't
Exactly.
overthink it. That is so complicated. It's
Yeah,
totally
literally
not.
don't overthink it. Just do it. Just get it done. The idea is to get it done. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be amazing. Just get it done. Do your research. Know that you're not going to know everything. Nobody knows everything. And then just literally go out there and get it done. And don't let people make you feel as if you're not accomplished. Just go and ignore them.
Thank you, Emma. And we're moving now to next question. So we might need to move a little bit maybe further on that, because we are having fun here. So what do you wish you knew before you started your business?
Amber? I'm gonna let you take that one because I'm gonna piggyback off that.
Sure. So I think the best advice that I got, unfortunately, a month into entrepreneurship for me, was from a friend who's a longtime entrepreneur and sports agent, who said, your money is going to come in ebbs and flows. And so if you can save when times are really good, and the funds are flowing in, save money. In fact, try to save about 6 months worth of business and personal expenses, because then when times are lean, you're not going to panic. And I think if you can do that from a financial perspective, that's incredibly important. If you can remember that when money is coming in the door, you should be putting a little bit aside for lean times, because there will be lean times. And I think particularly for people that are in the crypto space, if you're taking in cryptocurrency, remember that these are volatile markets. And so if you're taking in whatever cryptocurrency is your choice at this point in time, know that it's entirely possible that the value today is not the same as the value tomorrow. And if all of your expenses are priced in fiat, just make sure that you have a little bit of runway, and that you're not going to get too tripped up by that volatility.
Yeah, that's true. So adding to what Amber said, because she told me that, and let me tell you, everybody, 2018 was a phenomenal year. It was a year like no other. We were having so much fun. It was the first time that Bitcoin had really kind of gone up, and we were traveling and making really good money, and the world was our oyster. And I heard what Amber said, and that really prepared me for crypto winter. And also I had actually had a concussion at the end of 2018, and so I had we were still working. My team was taking care of everything, so that does help. The first thing you can do is, once you've gotten a really good business, get someone to work with you that also knows the business that well, so that if something happens to you, they can sort of take over. And the money wasn't coming in as much because I was the primary person who brought the funds in, but we were okay because we had a runway. And then 2019 then turned into 2020, which was a pandemic, and we were still okay because we had saved, even though so now that we're in 2021 and in shades of 2018, definitely taking it a lot more easy now, because now it's like, oh no, we remember what happens after, right? So just make sure that you really do have, like, it all comes down to money, right? So just make sure that, you know, you have enough to take care, but you're really saving, definitely save it.
It's amazing advice. I wish I followed with more discipline, but but yeah, totally. I'm gonna go a different route because they've covered it so well. I think saving is super important. But also I think, you know, I kept hearing advice that was like, well, you really have to know how to manage your time and how to manage all these projects and so on and so forth. And I've come to realize that actually that's like not accurate. What they really mean is that you need to understand how to manage your energy. I think once you understand how to manage your energy, you are better able to build out your business. Energy fluctuates. It's super normal for everyone. Something that's, you know, I've been struggling with for half my life, I think, has been that I have like a hormonal reaction to my period, which I love how this is going on YouTube. But essentially, for half the month, my energy levels are actually very low. And so managing my energy, and this actually was an issue that I've been facing since I'm 13 and went undiagnosed until I was 29 or 30. So, you know, I didn't know why my energy levels were fluctuating so much. But essentially, in a way, I'm grateful that this was happening because it was able to teach me about understanding how to read my own body and saying, you know, there are some moments during the month where I can work 18-hour days, no problem. There are some days during the month where I can work, you know, 4 or 5 hours and I'm completely exhausted. Additionally, when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing certain activities like public speaking, like meetings, and like context switching, where you have to have your mind focused on a particular project and then another one and then another one, or a particular department and then another one and then another one, the changes and the mental drain of doing this context switching is intense. And so all of that is depleting, and you have to figure out what ways are important for you in order to be able to manage that energy and to be able to understand what refuels you. And that is where self-care sort of comes into play, because for me, that means sometimes I want to disconnect entirely. Sometimes I want to go to dinner with someone and completely forget about anything related to work. Sometimes I want to meet someone that's doing work that is complementary to me and I want to be inspired by what they do. Sometimes it means going on Zoom and drinking a bottle of wine with my friends. Sometimes, you know, it means something else, like taking a bubble bath. Whatever it is that refuels you, going to the gym, taking a fitness class, going to the spa, it doesn't matter. But what you need to understand is what are your energy level fluctuations, what drains you, what refuels you, and how do you build a daily routine and a weekly routine that allows you to manage that so that you can become a better entrepreneur. And I think that's something that, you know, it's not about managing time or projects. It's about managing yourself and your energy. And the outcome is that you will be better at managing your time and your projects.
Thank you, Lucia. And Emma, what do you wish that you knew before?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I've sort of alluded to them here, but I'm a big believer in keeping the right people around you, because they really do inspire you and make you a little bit more creative. And one of the things, and I love this story. I'm a goal setter, and I remember saying to Amber at the end of 2017, Amber, I really want to get to the United Nations, and you know, in a regular world, this is just like pretty much impossible. And Amber turned to me and said to me, "Well, Emma, I think with the friends that we have, it shouldn't really be a difficulty." And I was like, thinking, did she really just say that to me? And then I stopped and I thought about it and I was like, I think she's right. So I then set a goal to get to the UN, and I contacted the people that we knew who had been to the UN, and sort of had a plan to try and get there by September. And I had 5 contacts, and the first 3 didn't pan out. And it was me, and I was getting annoyed. And then out of the blue, a client called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come to the UN with me in July?" And I was surprised, but it was someone who I hadn't thought of that had gone to the UN. He was like 22 years old, had this brand new product, and they were inviting him to speak at the United Nations, and my mind was blown. But you know, preparation can sometimes meet reality. So you really want to make sure you prepare and, you know, you do what you can, you foster those relationships. And I made it to the United Nations. And as I was sitting there, I was listening to what they were saying, and I was like, you know, I can do this. I should be up there on stage. And then I made it a goal. And so I was able to achieve that goal June 2019. And that was a highlight for me. And then having the friends that say, listen, you know, you can do this, you know, just believe in yourself, or, you know, why are you so worried about this? You can do this. That really does propel you to achieving all these things that you didn't necessarily know was possible. And I thank Amber for getting me on that path. And I thank Lucia for making sure that I stay on that path, because that woman is doing incredible things.
Thank you, Emma. And I was there at UN as well when you were speaking.
Oh, yes, you
so,
were.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Okay, from Canada. If we knew then what we knew now, oh my God, I would have hugged everybody so much longer, you know?
I know, right? So that's also was like very, like, I didn't even set the goal, but it was very kind of like very, very cool to go to UN and to, yes.
Right?
Yeah, I know,
really cool.
I know. Yes. Yeah. Anything is possible, right? You just have to dream about it and make it come true.
Guys, I want to talk to something super quickly about Elena. You have this energy. You are focused. And I really feel like you should be part of this panel too, because you've got some stories and I know a couple of them. But everybody, she is focused and she has this drive to get things done. And she's very, very determined. And she's definitely somebody that you all should look up to, follow, and ask questions, because she really encompasses everything that a small business is and is trying to be. So I just want to let you guys know that.
Oh, thank you so much, Emma, for this advertisement. Yes, I thank you. Yes, I came from the non-entrepreneurial background whatsoever, and that probably I hope that inspires some of you ladies that are here with us today. Yes, I was a software developer my whole life. I worked a 9-to-5 job. I was sitting at the desk. Was loving it at the moment, but then I started hating it, and that's the entrepreneurship was the answer to probably all my questions in a life. And I discovered this world, and I will never go back for sure. And yes, I am determined, but how else you can do business? Right, so you cannot do business if you're not determined, because this is hard and this is different from 9-to-5 for sure, but it's totally worth it. And I would not change my life right now to anything else. Moving on. Yes, ladies, if you would like to ask any questions, please type in the chat. And also, I would like you to type in the chat right now anything that you know, like anything that your business is about, your links and everything. We would like to collect this information and we post it into our YouTube channel as well to give you some shout out. We would like to do that for you. Oh, actually, we don't have any more slides of the questions. And we, yes, so this is the contacts for all our speakers today. So Amber, Emma, and Lucia. So please email them. Please talk to them on Twitter, on social media. So they are here. And we are going to be doing, again, the draw. And before doing that, we just answer some questions. And from what I saw in the chat, and I was texting to you all right now as we were going. So our women are asking that we have such sessions at least once a month, because obviously it is helping someone, and I'm very, very glad about that. And I'm sure that Emma, Lucia, and Amber are glad about that too. So if we missed any questions, ladies, please unmute your microphone. And if you'd like to go on stage as well, please raise your hand or unmute your microphone and share with us your story too. So we would like to give you a shout out. We would like to give you the word before we go into our draw. Please feel free to unmute your microphone and tell all about your business, what you're doing, and what you think about the bootstrapping.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
To Lucia?
Yes.
Sure.
I've heard a lot about clubhouses, and someone suggested that I go to a clubhouse, and I was hesitant to say they're not open yet. And then I Googled it and I found out it's online clubhouse where people go and present a product or a service. But the problem is you need to get invited to those sessions. How does somebody go about doing that?
Yeah, so Clubhouse is, for anyone that doesn't know what it is yet, it's a social media app that is only audio. So it's essentially a live interactive podcast, let's say, full of people that are talking about different topics. So you can join a conversation on any given topic. And unfortunately, right now it is a closed application and it is only available for iPhone. So it does require an invitation. There is a wait list. So if you go on their Twitter account, they have a link in which, so just on the Clubhouse, if their Twitter username is at join Clubhouse. And if you go onto their Twitter profile, on the profile, there's a link in which you can join the wait list. And then when you join the wait list, people on the app that you already know via your Twitter connections receive a notification, and sometimes they're allowed to just let you in immediately, or sometimes you have to wait in the wait list for a little bit. But that's inherently how you get in. It's only for iPhone right now, but it is a very positive environment for building thought leadership, because the conversations are sometimes quite spontaneous, sometimes pre-organized. There's varied topics on it. And you can sort of jump in and out of rooms to have these conversations. You can speak up, you can raise your hand to speak up, similarly to what you're doing today. So it is quite a positive experience. It's a good learning experience. And I think, an interesting departure from traditional podcasts where you're only listening.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Yeah, I also just recently discovered Clubhouse and I enjoy it very much.
I mean, you can all tweet them and tell them that they need to hire me as a brand ambassador after this comment, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, probably all of us.
Yes. So Jose, just so you know, there's someone in the chat who's just posted a link to their LinkedIn that said they'll get you an invite if you want one.
There you go.
Oh,
yes.
Great.
Yes, this is great.
This is good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who is she?
But yeah.
Oh, I'm Diane.
Diane Wong, yes. Yeah, thank you so much, Diane.
Yeah, of course. I have like about 7 or 8 invitations that I can still use, and I get more once I'm more active. But yeah, of course, just feel free to add me on LinkedIn, and I'll gladly add you.
Awesome, thank you. And we are moving on to our draw.
Do I have to contact her on LinkedIn to get the invitation?
Sure. Yeah, I think that might be the easiest way. Yeah, or you can put down your cell phone number and your name, and I'll add you to. It's either way. It's fine.
I'll give you my email address. How's that?
I need your phone number. I think that's the only way that I can invite you. So.
Okay.
Yeah, don't share your phone numbers here, please.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll contact you. I'll contact her on LinkedIn. How's that?
Yep. Sure. Either way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And we are going into our draw right now. So let me just share. Yeah, any ladies, if you would like to share your stories, still can do it. Please do it if you would like to do so. We are going into the draw. So Tracy, are we ready to do the draw?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So Tracy is going to now to show us all. We're going to pick the random winner. So as a reminder, we were collecting a feedback about our program that we're running for women entrepreneurs in Ontario, that is brought to you by Delia and Northumberland CFDC and supported by FedDev Ontario as well. So we are collecting the feedback, and these are the winner of $100 that we're giving away. All right, so Tracy, please start. So here, we collected feedback from the end. This is the, all right, so our winner is a guy, actually. so that is very, I think it's a guy, right? So Muhammad Umayyar Shahid. So that's, I hope I pronouncing it right. So thank you so much for your feedback that you provided. And I know that there was not a lot of guys, but there were some guys in our workshops. They were asking the questions. They were very, very active, and they were not scared of women. And that's what we probably face sometime in our webinars, that guys are walking into the room and they say like, oh, am I in the right room? Because there's only women here. Yes, yeah, you are in the right room, and you even won a $100. So congratulations. Thank you so much for your feedback. We're going to be doing more draws as we go, and we're going to be doing more webinars as well. So this is certainly not the last one. I would like to thank everyone connecting. So if any last comments, last questions, please feel free to right now to ask, to chat, and to tell. All right. So any last comments from you, Lucia, Amber, Emma, to our crowd?
I would say, guys, that if you really want to do something, go ahead and do it. Don't wait for validation. A lot of people want people to tell them that their idea is good. You know something? I'm a big believer that it's better to do the idea and get learnings from it. Either it's going to do well, it's going to do okay. It might not do well, but at least you'll know that this didn't work in this iteration. You can try something else. But don't look for validation. If you have an idea, just go out and do it. Don't wait for people to say it's a good idea. Just go out and do it.
Thank you.
100%. Shoot your shot. I mean, years from now, you will have almost no memory of those things that you did that didn't work, but you're going to remember the things that worked, that you kept iterating on, that allowed you to build something spectacular. Shoot your shot.
And be kind to yourself as you go. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lucia. Thank you so much, ladies. Emma, Amber, Lucia. Thank you so much, everyone. So you will still have just a few seconds to post your links, your products, your anything in the chat, and we will give you a shout out. But we really, really enjoyed this session today, and we get lots of overwhelming feedback. We're going to be doing such sessions in the future. I was just asked to do it once a month. We will see how often we can actually facilitate that, but certainly was a great idea, and great sharing this room with you. Thank you so much, and we will see you in our future workshops. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.